Why don't we start with a quick introduction? Just uh, who you are, where are you from?
My name is José Ralat. I live in Dallas with my wife and son, and I am the Texas Monthly taco editor.
Texas Monthly taco editor. Yeah, I'm sure that you hear this often, but yeah, I would say there are people who have an idea of what their dream job would be. But I would assume that even if someone is already on their dream job, they would they would trade with you in a heartbeat. How did you, how did you ended up as a writer, writing specifically about tacos?
A lot of hard work.
Great answer, actually.
I know. I became a writer because I didn't think I would need to talk to people. The joke is on me because here we are. And, and on any given day when I am home, I have to conduct 3 interviews by phone or Zoom. Uh, and every time I stutter, they say, "Oh, the phone is breaking up. There's a bad connection." And so I had to tell them, you know. Uh, but it was just a matter of working hard and not taking no for an answer. That that uh, defiance and tenacity has served me well. It got me to this point. So I pitched the the job of taco editor in 2015 when I was co-editing that year's taco issue. And they said no in a very nice way without saying no.
Mhm.
Uh, so I kept freelancing for them. And in 2019, I repitched the job because there was a new editor in chief, and I had uh, developed friendships and professional relationships with people on staff. And I gave them like 3 pages of story ideas. and the job description. Uh, and from one day to another, it went from you're going to be a contract writer to a full-time staff writer.
Mhm.
And that to me was a dream. And I immediately hit the road. Uh, but actually, the first question I asked when they offered me the job
Mhm.
was, do I need to relocate to Austin,
Ah, okay.
where their offices are?
Uh-huh.
And the answer was, we prefer you not.
Ah, okay.
So that was a relief. Uh, I have my l- little house with my family, and I don't want to leave.
Mhm.
You know, I have dogs in the backyard and pecan trees. It's
Nice.
nice.
Uh-huh.
It's a nice life. And now tacos are also my life.
Uh-huh. Yeah, like what you said at the beginning also resonated with me. Yeah, I also got in to art. Originally, I was drawing, then got into painting, and I went to college for graphic design because because I also thought that as a graphic designer I wouldn't have to talk with others. But you suddenly realize that you have to have meetings with clients, and you have to have these cautions about what works, what doesn't. And in reality, I think that there are like really few jobs where you don't have to communicate with others. Like, uh, go ahead.
Yeah, it's important though. It's important to network as well, whatever your job is.
Mhm,
But also, I'm not stuttering very much right now, but on the phone, it's awful.
mhm,
And I'm also at home, so I'm more at ease.
mhm,
Uh, what was I saying? The all of that to me is really important in showing that stuttering isn't taboo, that it's not an obstacle, it's not an impediment, it is just a characteristic in as so much as it's something that I do,
uh-huh,
or that I am.
mhm,
But it's not all of me, right? Uh, so I've had plenty of people who have laughed at me. I'm sure you've experienced that too.
mhm.
Uh, Plenty of people who have said, "Oh, I thought you didn't know your own name."
All all the time.
all the time.
Uh,
Right, yeah. And then that there are the adults
mhm.
who uh, who s- who are mature enough to understand there is a form of communication, or I should say, communication isn't just one thing.
Mhm,
There are all kinds of communications, all kinds of ways of speaking,
mhm,
and they're all valid.
mhm,
Uh, and so my viewpoint, or the way that I see what I do, is to basically just say, if you tell me no, I'm going to do it anyway.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
Uh-huh.
I don't like being told what I can't and can, or what I can and cannot do, uh, because I'm used to fighting for what I have, for my voice. And so the work that I do is an example of me telling the people in power, uh, that they have me all wrong.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Excellent. You said that you think you struggle more when you're on the phone, and I completely agree. Like, uh, have you done like TV shows, or or recorded in her interviews like this one often? And how do you feel it affects your communication?
I have done a lot of TV and
Mhm.
a lot of radio, some of it live,
Uh-huh.
some of it recorded. M More recently, there's been these hosts that will say that I stutter. So, uh, so these people, so the listeners or the viewers don't think it's a glitch, or, whatever.
Glitch.
But the first time that I went on the radio,
Uh-huh.
it was live, and I stuttered so much.
Uh-huh.
Uh, I didn't tell them that I stuttered.
Mhm.
I thought it's none of their business.
Uh-huh.
Uh, the producer was so freaked out. He stormed into the studio during a commercial break and picked me up by the elbow,
Uh-huh.
led me out of the building.
Really?
Yeah, and people on social media, my friends, peers, they were furious. I was furious.
Uh-huh.
Uh, but now, it's I've been on all kinds of things, national, regional, local. I've done, what do they call them? Keynote addresses
Uh-huh.
at fundraisers or at symposia. But as you know, this is pretty common. When I get blocked, when I get stuck, I try and come up with another word,
Uh-huh.
you know, and it might not be accurate,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
right? Or I'll say something that I know isn't true, but I'm trying to communicate the essence of it,
Uh-huh.
and it's very difficult. You know, a lot of people will say things after they say something dumb. Fluid speakers. They'll say something dumb and they'll say something like, "Oh, I didn't mean that," or "I shouldn't have said that," or "That was a mistake." I don't have that luxury.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Uh, so I even write things down for speeches
Mhm.
and then I throw them away. I say, if they can't handle me, then they shouldn't have asked me
Yeah,
to
exactly.
do this. Yeah,
That's funny.
yeah.
Like uh, have you, have you changed your approach when it comes to this closing that you order? Or you just assume they already know and it's up to them to get used to it?
Used to my stutter.
Aha.
Yeah. So I've made a lot of n networking uh, acquaintances and peers and friends in every aspect of journalism. So a lot of them know,
Mhm.
and it's okay. Uh, of course it's okay, right? It's okay to stutter.
Aha.
Uh, and you know, if they have a problem with it, they have a problem with it. I'm not gonna bother.
Aha.
It's their loss. It's not my loss. It just means I get to spend more time with my family and my friends, and I that's always better.
Aha.
Uh, but it hasn't really, yeah, it hasn't changed how I approach
Mhm.
language. It's not changed how I communicate overall.
Mhm.
Uh, Occasionally I'll add, "Hey, just so you know, I stutter. If that's a problem, that's fine."
Aha.
And there was one example where where a national network said, "Oh no, that is a problem."
Aha.
And then I called up a friend who worked at the same network and I said, "Hey, this just happened." And my friend said, "I'm going to take care of it." So he walked down the hall and took care of it.
Aha.
And I got an email almost instantly wanting them to schedule something.
Oh wow. Okay.
Uh, so in that way, I'm fortunate. In look, whatever I do, bec because of my job or because of whatever, I'm fortunate in every aspect of my life.
Mhm.
So I'm not trying to take advantage of anyone. I just don't think it's a problem.
Mhm. No? Good, good, good. Do you also speak Spanish?
Sí,
Ah, ok.
sí, cómo no.
No,
Ah,
se me había olvidado. Y has, y, y has hecho entrevistas en español.
sí, y mi tartamudeo es peor en mi lenguaje natal.
Ajá,
Not now, apparently.
ajá, ajá,
Uh, uh, but yeah, my stutter is worse in my native language,
ajá.
uh, which is funny because I'm the taco editor
I know, right?
and I have to speak Spanish a lot.
Ajá,
And I go to Mexico and
ajá.
I'm there a lot. I'm
Mm,
going there in April and I'm going there in May.
ok, ajá,
And I'm gonna stutter.
ajá,
That's okay. Uh, it's gotten better because I have to speak it more. Uh,
ajá.
but yeah, yeah, that's it.
I also like at someone who is also bilingual. I am really interested in that that like uh, that multicultural multicultural aspect of our identity, and I have seen that the reactions are usually different. Yeah, I feel that when I am speaking with Latin people, like we are way faster to erupt each other, or to make jokes, or to finish each other, uh, finish each other's sentences. Do you agree? How have your experiences being in English and in Spanish?
Uh, my experience in speaking Spanish to other Spanish speakers in the US and in Mexico or any part of Latin America uh, is usually, I speak it. Of course, I cannot say my name because that's a cruel joke, right? And that that all of us seem to have in common. Uh, and the usual response is, "Oh, you can speak English too." I'm like, "Well, I'm still gonna stutter."
It's gonna be the same, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, or vice versa when I am having 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 trouble saying something in English, and they switch and they go like "Hola, amigo," and I'm like, I speak English, I just cannot say it quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, oh yeah, yo hablo un poquito, and I'm like, I get it, but it's just how I speak, you know.
Do you do you think that you stutter more in Spanish or in English?
I think that, or like, if I moved to the US when I was already in my 20s. I was 26, 27. So I grew up going to school completely in Spanish. And I was taking classes in English, but like you don't really use it as often. So when I got here in my 20s, I I had what I what I call uh, theoretical English. Like, yeah, it was all in here. I knew how to write it, read it, but yeah, I didn't really have the practice.
Mhm.
So originally it was significantly harder in English,
Mhm.
but now I have been here long enough, and like I already uh, think in English as well. So I think that now I am more fluent and more comfortable in English.
What gets me are all the tenses in Spanish.
Uh-huh.
So, it's hard for me to say podría
Uh-huh.
or any of the other uh, uh, more complex tenses.
Uh-huh.
So sometimes I sound like a child when I speak, right?
I get that.
Uh, yeah, I gotta tell you, that's still embarrassing.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, I just got the notification that we only have 10 minutes. We can sign in again if we think we need to, but let's try to wrap it up too. Yeah, I feel that we all got into a field that where we thought we wouldn't have to talk as often, just to realize that that isn't really the case. What advice would you give others that 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 going to careers because of because of fear of communicating with others?
I would say it's important to encourage people to speak, to to use their voice. And so if it's it's normal to be shy, it's normal to feel embarrassed, it's normal to have negative emotions come up because of your stutter, but every person has an inherent value. And y- I I compel other people to say their piece, to not let other people shut them up because of their stutter, uh, and to do whatever they want to do. Just do it. And if 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 they're concerned, call a friend, talk to a friend, talk to your spouse, talk to your child. Just speak to
Talk.
someone.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no, and they'll encourage you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. Now that you have been being going at it for a while in your your career, do you still see your your harder as an obstacle?
No,
Not anymore.
not no. It was never really an obstacle.
Mhm.
I can't remember a time where it wasn't, where it wasn't an obstacle. I just remember trying to find a way to not speak.
Uh-huh.
Uh, if I had to speak, I spoke. I was very talkative,
Uh-huh.
but as a kid, but I knew that professionally, I didn't want to have to
Ah,
talk.
interesting.
Yeah.
So you were you were ever the shy kid? You were really outgoing and talkative?
Yeah, but again, it's difficult for me to introduce myself.
Hmm.
So still shy away from that.
Hmm.
I think that's normal, and if that kind of behavior, I mean, no one should be ashamed of that
Hmm.
behavior. And I think that's the whole message here is that do not feel shame. Do not feel like you can't do something.
Hmm.
You can,
Hmm.
and you will, and you'll be great at it.
Yeah, yeah, like something that something that I am sure that you can relate, like the fact that Zoom like gave me a notification and if I have a clock, if I am already like, oh, I only have 4 minutes now.
I see it now too.
Yeah, and like, yeah, when we have to do anything with timing, I always I always feel extra pressure. Ah,
When someone tells me, "Oh, you have to speak for 30 minutes," I say, "No problem."
easy, right?
Yeah.
Like the majority of the people when you when you tell them you have to speak for 12 minutes 15 is you're like, oh, it's so long. And personally I am the same as you. It's just like easy.
I just don't have to say as much. It takes me
Yeah, right.
longer to say.
Uh-huh.
I'm like, no problem.
Yeah, yeah, so yeah, that is interesting. Like usually we are the opposite when when they say you only have uh, you only have 30 seconds is when I'm just like, oh
Yeah,
no.
yeah, yeah. I'm like, that's not enough. That's
Yeah, I know.
not
It's just like
enough.
how I am just gonna say my name and it will be almost over.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Eso es la verdad. That's
Interviews, man.
true. Yeah.
uh, well, yeah, yeah. Do you have any closing mm,
Oh, yeah,
message? Yeah.
yeah. I think, like I said, use your voice. Don't be afraid to use your voice. I have used my voice, and I usually stutter a whole heck of a lot more than I am right now. Pero for me, it's not it it doesn't have to hinder you, and you can do things like give presentations. I've won awards for my writing, and I've had to accept awards publicly.
Mhm.
And I'm like, oh my God. And I have to keep it short,
I
like 12
know.
seconds, right? She's like, no,
Uh-huh.
I can't do that. And it's a lot, but it's only a lot temporarily.